Like it's certainly over the last kind of 5 or 10 years, I'd say 10, even maybe it's a little longer, maybe it's 20 years, depending on where you come from. Coffee's gone through this renaissance where it's got kind of quite refined and very sophisticated at a mass scale, where there's, you know, the specialty coffee, and people are much more into where is it from and how to process it. And this has been like, and people are prepared to pay a premium for this. Obviously wine, very much, you know, there's organic wines, there's natural wines, there's understandings of biodynamic wines.
Even growing up in the 80s in Ireland, like you couldn't get wine in the off license. Dad used to kind of say it wasn't really widely available.
Well, coffee certainly wasn't, you know, in the
we
80s.
were
You know,
a nation of tea
it was all
drinkers.
jars of Nescafe and whatnot. So over the last kind of 20 years, it really has become widespread. And beer has gone through the same kind of process of there's craft beers, there's IPAs, there's, you know, it's gone through this same journey where people are getting more interested in the process and the flavour and the quality, and there's more curiosity with it. And coffee or chocolate is kind of on the cusp of going through this. Like in your world, it's deep in it because you are Mr. Craft Chocolate UK. And I'm just wondering, like it hasn't quite gone through this arc yet. Is that process happening? Because there's massive commercial chocolate. When you say chocolate, people go 70%, 60%, 80%, 70% Madagascar. Oh, it's a very refined, you know, it's a fancy chocolate. But commercial chocolate is very different to what you do.
I mean, when we set up Cocoa Runners 10 years ago, we hoped that it would be doing what coffee has sort of done spectacularly and what, you know, wine has done and all that stuff. And I think now looking back on it, we've got the misfortune of being able to sort of like try and say, well, why hasn't it quite gone that way? And I think it hasn't yet gone that way. I think it will go that way, but I think it's for a number of different reasons. I think one thing, if you just compare it to coffee is very social. And, you know, if you have coffee, like we had some coffee before, you know, you go out, if you want to meet somebody, you go to a coffee store. And I think that social aspect really helps. Like if you want to be cool and trendy, you definitely go to the Happy Pear rather than to XYZ, whatever. And whereas chocolate is very different. You know, most people eat chocolate in the middle of the afternoon as a pick-me-up or as a reward, and they get it out of a vending machine and they have it at their desk and it's a guilty secret. You don't boast about having had, you know, a mass market whatever, Twix, Rolo, or whatever. You know, they try and make it a bit more social, but you don't really. It's a sort of solitary, almost a guilty, something which you're almost ashamed of. So it doesn't sort of quite have that social angle to it. And I think the second thing is related to that as well is, let's take beer. If you want to prove that you're really cool, you go to the pub and you don't order, you know, the same beer that your parents would have had. You have some sort of like punk IPA XYZ. And that proves that you're super cool. And it's a relatively simple upgrade. So back to your point about instant, you know, most of the people who had instant
coffee, like instant coffee,
instant coffee, they haven't really changed the way they drink their coffee or when they drink it. They've just changed what they're drinking. So they've got like a French press, or they've got a cafetiere, or they've got like an AeroPress or something. And then they'll be moving up to your sorts of beans. So I think it's the upgrade habit which really helps. And then I think, you know, back onto the distinction between the other two, I think most of these other craft products have got what I sort of call the barista effect. And what I mean by that is that, you know, if you go into a coffee store, the barista will be able to tell you exactly why these beans are so amazing, just as you were sort of describing how chocolate's so amazing. They can sort of say, these beans come from that. This is the wash method, the fermentation that they've used. This is how we roasted it. And by osmosis, you almost sort of pick it up and you appreciate what the flavor's about, and they'll tell you what to look for. Whereas if you just buy a bar off the shelf, yeah, sure, they'll have some wording on the packaging, maybe sort of saying, well, it comes from Peru. You know, just as Paddington gets lost in Peru, you need to know a bit more. That you need to know where the farm is at least. But you also, you know, it helps to have somebody say, you know, this is what you should be looking out for, and this is how you should be doing it. So I really hope craft chocolate gets there. But I think one of the challenges is we need an occasion. So
an occasion to celebrate craft chocolate.
Well, so the wine thing is really, really interesting. So a long time ago, when I was in Australia, I met this amazing guy called Len Evans. And he is this extraordinary Welshman who was running the Australian Wine Bureau in the early 70s. And he basically is one of the reasons why possibly we drink so much Australian wine in the UK. Because if you go back, you know, 50, 60 years or a bit more, 70 years ago, we didn't drink that much wine in the UK or in Ireland or anywhere else. And part of the reason for that is that the national drink we have is beer. And if you want beer, you go to the pub, right? And that started to change when we got package holidays. because package holidays meant that we could go to France, and we could go to Spain, and we could go to Italy and Portugal and everywhere else like that, where we discovered this amazing red and this white and this pink stuff, which we really enjoyed drinking. And so Len Evans had these two extraordinarily smart observations. So the first thing was, to Australian winemakers, was skate to the puck, figure out where to sell it. Don't try selling it in supermarkets yet. Actually go to the pubs. Sell it there, because that's where Brits drink. But his second bit of genius was to understand how Brits drink. And I presume it's the same here too, which is that, when you go to the pub, you don't necessarily have food. In fact, in England, the main food is like, a packet of crisps. Whereas if you drink food and you drink wine, so if you drink wine in Italy or France or Spain or Portugal, you generally have it with your food. And it's designed to be had with food. And it's very different. So he said, redesign the wines. So before then, Australian wine was very much modeled on French wine. So, it was even had the names. It's sort of called the same sort of things like claret. But he said, design it so that it's quaffable and you can basically drink it.
Quaffable.
Quaffable.
What a word.
It's a great word. So you can have it with a bag of crisps. So he basically figured out where the occasion is and what the opportunity is. And the thing about craft chocolate is that's what it needs, because we're not an alternative to a Mars bar or a Snickers. You're not going to basically get your sugar rush from us.
Even I notice how I consume, like I'll buy fancy bars of chocolate. They're $10 a bar, so they're expensive, or 15 quid a bar sometimes. But like, I savor them.
You save
and a bar could last me a week.
And when do you have it?
I typically will have it. I could have it at 11 o'clock in the morning. Go, it's time for a little bit
just to save it.
A moment, just almost like, in a weird way, it's almost like a moment of meditation, a moment to stop and appreciate the subtle aromas and kind of complexity of this small
or
beautiful
reward.
piece. Reward too. Yeah, but it'll often often after
And
a
you
meal
share
too.
it a bit?
Little bit with those who appreciate it.
There you go.
I can be a bit.
Well, what about
stingy.
after a meal?
Yeah, after a meal, yeah. If there's people over, like if I have 4 or 5 bars in my bag, I'll get them all out and we'll all have a little tasting time, and it's great fun.
So we did a survey of the Cocoa Runners sort of, subscriber base, and we discovered that about 70% plus of the people who enjoy our craft chocolate actually have it after dinner. Not only after dinner, but that's one of their primary occasions. If you compare that with how people consume mass-produced chocolate, the main time is mid-afternoon and a little bit of it before lunch. And it's basically that sort of, I'm feeling peckish, I need a bit of a sugar rush. And it's very different how people do it. So that's what I meant by trying to get people in the habit. So for us, the great thing is to basically finish a meal with some chocolate. And it also solves the second stomach problem. So this goes back to where your taste receptors are.
Yeah.
So you've had this one before. So one of the strange things is, how basically you finished a great meal and you think, I can't eat anymore. And then suddenly somebody wheels out, like you did to me, that carrot cake. And suddenly, okay, I've actually got a little bit more room. I've got that second stomach. Technically, that is actually true. You do suddenly develop a second stomach, because what happens is the very sight of something sweet, which you expect to be sweet, your stomach also has taste receptors for sweetness. And it says, I want some of that. And it will start your gastric juices, for want of a better word, pumping it up a bit more. And so basically you'll create a bit of more room quickly.
Like squish over there.
Just give me a bit of room. And we've actually got on the website, there's actually sort of these great scans, an MRI, which they did live on Japanese TV, showing how basically people who were shown, even though they thought they were full, some chocolate cake at the end of a meal, they literally create room in their upper intestine to eat a bit more. But chocolate's ideal for this, because you don't want to have too much. So you want to have something which you can savor and satisfy your stomach. And you will digest it a bit better as well. And you'll have a great social experience.
And it enhances your digestion.
And it enhances your digestion. So there you go. That's the reason why you should always end your meal with some chocolate.
Beautiful.
Enhances digestion.